Hello, welcome back. I'm Jay Abhishek De Silva, an undergraduate of the JAM Institute for Advanced Technology. Welcome back with the question series of Database Management System 1, and today I'm here with the question set number 34. In this question set 2, we're gonna continue the same database called Aradia Shoe Center. So then as the first question, enter the data in the table below into the user type table, and then as the second question, enter the data of the table below in the city table, and then the third question, enter the data in the table below into gender table, while the next question tells to enter the data in the table below into the user table, and then as the fifth question, enter the data in the table below in the address table, while the last question tells to enter the data in the table below in the system login table. So then let's move to HDSQL software to add data to our tables. So then let's add data to user type table. So then let's type the insert query, insert into, and then the database name as earlier shoe center dot, then select the table as user type table, and then inside the bracket, inside the gradation mark, we have to specify the column names, as we not gonna insert data to user type id column, as we have given the auto increment to it, and we are only expecting to enter data to user type name column. So then let's give the column name as user type name, and then the values inside the brackets, inside the quotation marks, let's give the value as employee, and then at last the semicolon. So then let's execute this query. So then let's move to data and refresh the page. Here we can see our first row has added to our table. So then let's add the remaining data. Likewise, we can type insert into, then the database name earlier shoe center dot, then select the table name called user type, and then inside the brackets give the column name as user type name, and then set the values within the brackets inside the single quotation marks, then the customer, and then at last the semicolon. So then let's execute this query. Here I have added all the data to our user type table. So then let's move to city table. So then let's add data to our city table, and then here too we can use the insert query, insert into, likewise the database named earlier shoe center dot, then select the table name city, and then inside the brackets, inside the gradation mark, set the column name as city name, and then the values inside the brackets, and inside the single quotation mark set the city name to Colombo. Set the city name to Colombo, and then at last a semicolon, and then let's execute this query, and then we have inserted our first row to the city table. So then there's another method of the insert query. The other method is insert into the database name as earlier shoe center, and then the table name city. Here we are not specifying the columns, as we can enter data to all the columns in the relevant table. If so, we are not specifying the relevant columns inside the brackets. So then without mentioning the columns, we give the values inside the bracket, inside the quotation mark. Here we give the city id also, and then in comma, and again inside the quotation mark we give the city name as candy, and then at last semicolon. So then let's execute this query too, then refresh the page. So here we can see the next row has inserted to our table. Here I have added all the data to the city table also. So then let's move to gender table. So then let's type the insert query, insert into, and then the database name as earlier shoe center dot, then select the relevant table name as gender, and then inside the brackets we mention the column name as gender name. As we have given the auto increment to gender id, we are not going to enter data to gender id column, and then the values inside the brackets, inside the single quotation mark we set the value as male, and then at last the semicolon. Let's execute this query. and then let's move to data and refresh the page. Here we can see our first row has inserted to our table. So then let's add the remaining row also. Here we can type insert into the database name, the earlier shoe center, and then dot, and then the gender table, and again the brackets, and then mentioning the relevant column as gender name, and then we are setting the values to it. Inside the brackets, inside the single quotation mark, we give the value as female, and then at last the semicolon. Let's execute this query too. Then let's refresh the page, and here we can see our gender table has completed. As the address id, gender id are foreign columns from other tables to the user table, we have to enter data to other tables at first. So then let's move to address table. So then let's type the insert query, insert into, and then the database name as earlier shoe center, and then dot, and then select the table name as address, and then inside the brackets we mention the relevant column names as number, and then again inside the gravy ascent the street 1 column, and then comma inside the gravy ascend the street 2 column, and then comma again inside the gravy ascend mark the city id. As the city id is a foreign column, it has got the name as city id, so we have to set that name here, and then we set the values to this. Inside the brackets, inside the single quotation mark, we set the values. So then let's set values, the number as, and then comma again inside the single quotation mark the street 1, and then again single quotation mark the street 2, and then the city id as 2. As city id is a foreign column, we have to set the city id of the city table. So then at last the semicolon. So then let's execute this query. So then let's move to data and refresh the page. So here we can see our data has inserted to the address table. So then let's add the remaining data. Here I have added all the data to the address table. So then let's add data to the user table. So then let's type the insert query, insert into, and then the database name earlier shoe center dot, and then select the table name user, and then inside the brackets we mention the columns as first name column, comma inside the grievance mark the last name column, comma inside the grievance mark the contact number column, and comma again inside the grievance mark the status column, comma again inside the grievance mark. Here as the address table is a foreign column to the user table, here it has got the column name as address id, so we have to give the same name in the query also, address id, and then again inside the grievance mark let's give the gender id as gender id, as the gender id also a foreign column and it has got the column name as gender id. So then let's set the values to it, values, and then again inside the brackets, inside the single quotation mark we set the values as the first name, and then again inside the single quotation mark the second name, and comma again the single quotation mark the contact number, and then the status, comma, and again inside a single quotation mark the address id, comma inside a single quotation mark the gender id, and then at last semicolon. So then let's execute this query. So let's move data and let's refresh the page. So we can see that data has inserted to the user table. So then let's again move to query tab and let's talk about the other method that we can use to insert data. So insert into the database name earlier shoe center dot, and then the table name as user, and then here we are not mentioning the column names as we gonna insert data to all the columns in this table. We set the values inside the bracket, inside the single quotation mark we set the user id as 2, and then again inside the single quotation mark the first name as Sandun, and then again single quotation mark the last name as, and then comma again single quotation, and then the contact number, and then command again inside the single quotation mark the status, and then the address ID as 2, and then the ID as 1, and at last the semicolon. So then let's execute this query too. So then refresh the page here. So here we can see our second row has inserted to the user table. Likewise, add the remaining data. Here I have added all the data to the user table, and then let's add data to the system login table. So then let's type the insert query, insert into, and then the database name as RRShoes enter, and then select the table name as system login, and then set the values. I'm gonna set values to all the columns in this table. So inside the quotation mark, let's add values 1, comma, again inside the quotation mark username, comma, and again inside the single quotation mark, then the password, and then comma, again inside the single quotation mark the user ID, and then at last the semicolon. So then let's execute this query and then refresh the page. Here we can see the data has inserted to the system login table. So in the question set number 34, we add data to user type table, city table, gender table, user table, address table, and also to the system login table. So then let's meet with the next question set number 35, and bye for today.